You're listening to Civic Media. You can tune into any of our live shows on any radio station across the state with the Civic Media app. Find us in your phone's app store and listen anytime, anywhere.
Welcome back to Nightlight with Pete Schwaba and Greg Bach here on the Civic Media Network. We're coming to you live on opening day of baseball here. The Brewers win 14-2. We'll talk more about that with Mike Clemens, who is Civic Media's sports authority, sports writer, guru, travels all over the country to get the sports you need. But that's more in a little bit. Not across the state. I feel like I can't say that. Can I say, Pete? Can I say across the state now? Or did I say above me? Up the state? It's upstate. There we go. That sounds a lot better than up the state. Like
up the state.
Upstate for me in northeastern Wisconsin and Marinette. We got Mr. Pete Schwaba. And then all the way over in centralish south Wisconsin, we have Dom in Madison on the ones and twos. Thank you so much for being here. We still have another great hour ahead for you. We got, as I said, we have Mike Clemens coming up in just a little bit. Plus, we're gonna simmer it down. We're going to bring it on in for a fun time with the nightcap to close it all out. But folks, whether you participated or you missed the opportunity to put in the keyword for our Break in a Spring Text to Win multi-state contest, you have another chance in the 7 o'clock hour. So stick around, stay tuned, because you'll get that keyword, and then it will all start tomorrow again at 7 a.m., 7 more chances. And tomorrow is the last day.
That's it.
So it went fast. It went real fast. So make sure you have that Civic Media app. Make sure you stay tuned for that keyword. Text it in. If you get an opportunity for an extra entry, go ahead and take that one and you're good to go. But good luck to you. Thank you to everyone who has participated so far. I got to say, Cindy Scapani was amazing. That was a great interview. She was fantastic.
I totally agree. And I had more questions, but I also, it's so basic. I'm so pedestrian when it comes to online betting to begin with. I just don't get it. I get why people bet on sports. I have friends that do it, but I like watching my teams. I don't need another reason to watch a sport because I put money on it.
Yeah.
It's enough of a time waster. So I don't even get online betting, but a lot of people do. And the last time I was at Potawatomi, Greg, I was there with my wife and my son. My son wanted to try blackjack, and we're walking around. It was probably 6 months ago on a Saturday night. It was so depressing. I don't remember, I've spent time when I was a stand-up in casinos, and you'd go with the other comic, and always fun to walk around and whatever, and blow $20 or $50 or whatever. But, so many of those people looked like they should not have been there. They looked like they couldn't afford to be there. They got whatever money they had, and they're going right to the casino. It was really hard for me to enjoy myself there.
I mean, honestly, Pete, these are a lot of folks, and I'm not a gambler. While you say that you want to just watch your team and enjoy, I just look at my money and say, I want to keep that. I want it to be my money.
Sure.
A lot of those folks live in the world of the lottery mentality where they think that they're going to hit it big, whether it's scratch offs, the mega Powerball, I don't know if it's called, mega Powerball, or at the casino. They think that's where their ship's going to come in. And that's the bummer, is that we live in a world where that is a viable idea of how to, quote, make it rich. And I've been in those casinos as well. I'm very lucky. My mom enjoys gambling. She enjoys poker, video poker, but she has the guardrails on. She has her budgets. When she plays poker with friends, it's for nickels, dimes, and quarters.
Sure.
When she goes to Potawatomi, it's very strategic. When she's done, she's done. And so, and I tell her all the time, I think it's really funny that both of my parents were poker players and went to Vegas regularly, and neither my sister nor I gamble at all. Wow. Period. And it's not because they lost our inheritance. It's just because we just don't do it.
Well, you're smart. If you don't feel a need to do it, you're better off not doing it. I love the game poker. That's why I play. But I've never spent a penny. If I lose everything on my app, I just build it back up, and it sucks. But I'm not paying real money for fake money. That just has never made sense to me.
I love that.
I don't know.
You're right.
Depressing.
I completely understand what you're saying. Do you know what's not depressing, though, Pete?
A lot of stuff. But what?
Well, first of all, the Brewers win today. The Brewers win today is not depressing. You know what else isn't depressing? The Cubs lost today, too. But what really isn't depressing is the question of the night.
No, Here we go. Let's go. LFG, as they say, folks. Who is your favorite music duo of all time? Who is the best music duo of all time? That is our question of the night. And you know what? It's interesting, Greg. Before the show, we were talking about how Seals and Croft, a big-time duo in the 70s and 80s. Croft died. What was his first name?
Dash, as in like Mrs. or a dash of, or Mrs.
Crazy. 85 years old, passed away, so they're no longer a duo. I don't even know if the other one's still alive, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But and it begs the question, will they go on tour with Seals, saying it's still Seals and Croft? Like a lot of bands still do that, even though like only the bass player is left and they're in their 80s and they still tour, you know.
Well, I think that
interesting to see.
I think that the last surviving member of the Moody Blues is touring. Like, it's a thing where they tour solo, playing the music of the band and maybe some of their old music, their own solo music too. But I mean, when Glenn Frey died, I was like, well, the Eagles are over, but they're like, no, let's get his son playing. Like, these bands just don't stop because there's money to be made. And honestly, a lot of these, I know musicians, you know musicians, and it's not even musicians, it's people who make their life going out on stage and entertaining. It's their lifeblood. It's what they know. So they will continue to do it in that sense. But I wouldn't be surprised, but also I don't know how old Seals is.
Well, he's got to be, I would think, in the ballpark of 85, like Dash Croft was. But no, and I get it. It's in their blood. Man. If you love what you do, especially you're bringing joy to people, singing or doing comedy or whatever, you don't ever want to hang it up. You know, you might tour less, but good for them. So anyway, folks, answer the question, if you will, please. Who is the best music duo of all time? 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. You can also text us on the Civic Media app. Do we have information? Are we back up? Is the app?
Yeah. So okay, cool. I saw entries come in after I said something. So it seems like things might be good. But if you can't get through the app, text us via the phone, your regular phone, or give us a call. We'd love to hear from you.
Sure. Give us a call. If you're watching the radio on YouTube, Facebook, or X Twitter, you can drop us a stream comment too. But play the game, not the contest. That's not happening this hour. I just realized what I said. But be part of the show. That's what I meant to say. And do you have a favorite duo, Greg?
Music duo? Gosh, I don't know. I mean, as far as like, it's easy to say. Like, well, let me ask you something here.
Yeah,
because one of the answers on the Facebook page was from Robert, and he said Lennon and McCartney. And I don't see Lennon and McCartney as a musical duo. They wrote songs together, but they were in a band. Like, to me, I think of Seals and Croft, Hall and Oates, those kinds of, that's what I think of a musical duo. So, I mean, I might be doing too strict, but it's very hard to nail that one down because there's so many great groups out there. I mean, if I'm going to say, it's going to be Daft Punk for me.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I answered on social media as well, and I said Simon and Garfunkel. To me, that's hands down.
Yeah.
The amount of hits. I just love their style too. Love the guitar and the harmonizing and all that kind of stuff. So those are my two favorite. What about you, Dom? You got one?
Yeah, I like MGMT. So I like Andrew and Ben from MGMT. I'm big into FIFA, and they had a bunch of FIFA songs. So
nice.
That was me. Yeah, MGMT for
Wolf
sure.
down a big arch burger and listen to some. That's awesome.
Well, folks, I'm home. It's time for some good music and some good burger. Give me the big arch and some big hits.
Tony Zimmerman on the stream, our pal Tony here at Civic Media, says Brooks and Dunn. Okay, that's another.
I love
big
Brooks
duo.
and Dunn. That's a good concert, by the way.
Yeah, and then he says, or Rebecca Black and Friday.
Now he's just being silly. Just like there's a lot of silliness on the Facebook today.
Come on, Black Friday. I can't believe I fell for that.
Key and Peele. Come on now. What was the other one? Garth Brooks and Chris Gaines. Eric, quit being silly. Milli Vanilli.
Oh, love their work.
I love the work that was done for them.
Here's another one I don't understand. Brett, our pal from Brown Deer, says the best duo I can think of is Chris Cornell and Eddie Vedder in Temple of the Dog. So I guess if they collaborated on an album, sure, that works.
Temple of the Dog was a side project for both of them that was still a band. Like,
okay,
and again, I am being a snob right now. So I say live your life and like what you love and do your thing. But when I think of musical duos, I don't like, that's not what comes to mind when I think of a musical duo. But if that's what you like, go for it. We got a lot of Simon and Garfunkels on the text line, by the way. David and Tom both say Simon and Garfunkel. What else we got? This was a good one. Robert on Facebook said The Captain and Tennille. Well then.
Robert is an opera singer, by the way, so I'm not going to argue with him on that.
Fancy.
Tom from Hartford on the text line also says the Jugs. I think he meant the Judds, but I could be wrong. Tim Baker says Chad. Oh, that might be on social media. I just
That's fine.
Your toes there, pal.
Good.
Let's just go to the social media. We got some great social media interaction today. See what people are saying. Chad and Jeremy, do you know them?
I do actually. Yeah, we've actually on some of our stations here on Civic Media, we play some Chad and Jeremy. It's like they're a band that like never made it huge, but they've got a couple of hits. Okay. What else we got here? Tim says the Everly Brothers. He also says Simon and Garfunkel, the Smothers Brothers, which I would totally go for. They were very musical.
That's true.
Ian and Sylvia. I've never heard of them. And Celino and Barnes. That's interesting stuff. That's interesting stuff.
Ian and Sylvia are a folk duo. There's
more Lennon and McCartney too. Joe said Lennon and McCartney. A couple for here. I want to get your take on this, Greg, because my pal Pat said Hall & Oates. It's not even close. There are some songs I like by Hall & Oates. I feel they're overrated. Am I way off there? Chris Anderson on the text also said Hall & Oates.
I think Hall & Oates are definitely contenders. I think they wrote so many hits, and their progression too from when they first started, when they were that blue-eyed, Philadelphia soul sound to more of a pop rock. I feel like I would definitely put them up there.
Okay.
And I don't think that's overrated. But again, if that's not your jam, it's not your jam. I would say my favorite new duo is Angine des Poitrines, which is a Quebec two-person group that wear masks and play and are completely made up in paint, except for their exposed skin is made up with body paint. They wear these weird costumes and they play music that for a lot of people is completely unlistenable, but I love it. And social media is going bonkers for them right now. Like,
really?
Their look is very, very, very unique. Angine des Poitrines, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but just look them up. They are amazing. Brian on the text line in Sun Prairie, listening in WMDX, says the White Stripes. That's good. That's very, very good.
Great one.
And then Anna in Madison says, hi, Pete and Greg. My favorite duo is the Everly Brothers. They had great harmonies. They did indeed. Very much.
We had Boris on social media also said the Everly Brothers. I love the Everly Brothers. Jenny Brand, our Civic Media colleague, says Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell.
Nice,
with Wham as a close second. Love both of those, Jenny.
Wham's amazing. Wham is amazing.
Careless Whisper, come on.
They released 2 records, and that was it.
Is that it?
That's it. I could talk for hours about Wham.
Oh, my gosh. Matt Kassane also says Hall & Oates. Outstanding. Yeah. All right,
when we come back, it's time for the Civic Media Sports Guru, Sports Authority, Sports Writer, Mr. Mike Clemens here with us talking about opening day and other sports events going on. But don't go anywhere. You are listening to Nightlight with Pete Schwaba and Greg Bach here on the Civic Media Network. Stay tuned. Stay close.
You're listening to Civic Media. Stay up to date on the latest news and information for your local community and Wisconsin by signing up for our free email newsletter. Visit civicmedia.us/email to get started.
Wow. I can almost picture Dom eating a Big Arch burger and playing that music.
I don't know why I chose it.
Hey, welcome back, or any food for that matter. Welcome back to Nightlight, folks. I am Pete Schwaba, sitting upstate from Mr. Greg Bach, and Dom is in Madison working the board. Great to have you with us tonight. Our question of the night is, who is your favorite music duo? I would say Simon and Garfunkel are probably in the lead, with Everly Brothers or Hall & Oates a close second, but we're having fun with that one. Be part of the show and play along, folks. Right now, we are going to turn our attention to sports. A big day in the sports world, especially if you're an MLB fan. Opening day, and joining us to break it all down is Civic Media Sports Authority and our pal, Mr. Mike Clemens. Hey, buddy.
Hi, Pete. Hi, Greg.
Great to have you, Mike.
Good evening. Thank you so much for being here, sir.
Yeah.
How are things at the ballpark? I'm going to let Greg ask you about his favorite team, the Brewers, but how are you doing out there? What's the mood like?
Well, pretty ecstatic today. The Brewers beat the Chicago White Sox 14-2, and I was thinking, I think it was like in '88 where the Brewers, when they had Robin Yount, Rob Deere, those guys, where they had a 12-0 win over the Orioles on opening day. But yeah, it turns out this is a franchise record for opening day for the Milwaukee Brewers that are starting their 58th season to score 14 runs, 14-2. But yeah, all kinds of different storylines. First of all, before the game and on opening day, Mark Antonaccio, the owner, he'll come down and talk to us, and Pat Murphy, the manager of the year for the second year in a row, he came down and talked to us for about a half hour before the game. Usually we meet in his office, but it was a full press conference. Here's the thing you guys are like. Adam McKelvey's been a senior reporter for MLB covering the Brewers for almost 20 years now. Mm-hmm. And so Pat Murphy, how he kind of holds court, one of the things he does is, all right, any new people here, before we get started, any new people who are in the media, I even want to talk to you camera people behind the cameras. Introduce yourselves. Tell me where you're from. Is this your first time here? Tell me a little bit about yourself. So he does that to break the ice. It's almost like an MC at a nightclub, Greg.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Who's here, right? You guys both know that from your time in the club. So he's doing that. And then he says, and he's always picking on his PR director, Mike Vasallo, and says, why don't we get a picture of these people for once? So a photographer goes behind him and takes a shot of the behind Murphy's head of all of us up there in the gallery. And then the photographer posts it. Well, Adam McCalvey, being a wise ass, he flips him the bird.
It's amazing.
And Adam's like, I don't know if I'm in trouble, man. My editor hasn't talked to me all day. He's like, I don't know if she's going to be upset. I might be in trouble. No, I said, listen, man, that's a classic. As soon as I get out of the ballpark, I'm going to Walgreens. I'm printing that off and putting it up on my cubicle in Civic Media. You kidding me? I love that. So, you
that's
have
great.
fun with him like that. But then we get this news about 15 minutes before those pressers start. We say, hey, you know what? We're going to bring down the general manager, Matt Arnold, too, who comes in and tells us, Jackson Chourio, star outfielder, batter, is going to start the season on IL. That's because you guys remember when he was in the World Baseball Classic playing for his team Venezuela, he got hit in the hand by a pitch, all right? And he missed a couple of games. He played in that championship game, didn't get any hits against Team USA, but soreness continued. He had 2 x-rays out in Arizona, were negative. When they got him back to Milwaukee the other day, they had an MRI. They found a hairline fracture in one of his fingers.
Oh, my God.
So he's going to start the season on the shelf. Did not play today. I could see a little brace on his hand in the clubhouse today. But, so they brought up Blake Perkins, who's, been here before. He's played plenty of baseball. So even though, they continue to always lose these veterans in free agency and big money to other markets like a Freddie Peralta, when you can replace that guy with Blake Perkins, that means your roster is doing pretty good right now.
And that's something, we're gonna go to a break in a moment, but just like the roster itself is impressive. I had the chance. I went to a spring training game last week in Arizona. I saw them take on the Texas Rangers, and they just demolished them. And it just felt, and there was a confidence in their playing, and it felt really good to watch because it felt like they were very ready for today and going into this new season.
Yeah, and Greg, as you saw too, all the the young names, the young players that they're bringing up from the minors that they're testing out there in spring training. Some who maybe didn't make the 40-man roster cut out of the 26 in the clubhouse. But today the lineup is familiar names: Terang, Contreras, Yelich, Andrew Vaughn, Jake Bowers, who had a big home run today. The new guy is the third baseman, David Hamilton. He got on base twice today and looked pretty good.
It's excellent. Love seeing that stuff. We are talking to Mike Clemens. He is our sports reporter, sports authority here at Civic Media, talking about all things sports, especially today being opening day for the Brewers and many other teams around the area. I know that Pete wants to also talk about the Badgers in a little bit, and like we'll come back from the break. We'll talk more about the Brewers, but we'll talk about also the NCAA as well. But I guess we're going to be going to commercial in just a little bit. So I would ask you a question now, but I don't want to have to interrupt you.
I have one for Mike because we have to go to a break in about 30 seconds. Mike, favorite musical duo?
Oh, there you go.
I'm with you with Simon and Garfunkel. Everly Brothers were pretty damn good. I'm sorry to hear about the other half of Seals and Cross passed away.
Yeah,
they had
absolutely
some great songs. Yeah.
Absolutely. That was a bummer. I want to ask Mike when we come back about they were banging on all cylinders today, the Brewers hitting and pitching, so we can get back into that after the news. Mike Clemens, our Civic Media Sports Authority, is here. Dom's team, the White Sox, managed 2 solo shots. That's about it. It was a big win for the Brewers today on opening day. They are undefeated, folks. We are coming right back. This is Nightlight with Pete Schwaba and Greg Bach, and Mike Clemens is here. We are coming right back on the Civic Media Network.
Welcome back to Nightlight with Pete Schwaba and Greg Bach here on the Civic Media Network. If you want to be part of the conversation, 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Leave a comment on that live stream. We are currently streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and the platform we still call Twitter. Still ahead, we're going to have the nightcap to wrap things up. But right now, we are talking to Civic Media Sports Authority, sports writer, and all-around good guy and coworker, Mr. Mike Clemens. We are talking about the Brewers opening day, big win for the Brew Crew, 14-2 against the White Sox. The Cubs lost too, but also just a great, exciting day. And Mike, you were saying that Mark Antanasio also addressed the press, and you said you had a chance to talk to him about some things, especially the prospects for this year in accordance to what happened last season.
Well, it's because, Greg, Brewers fans, they come here, they have a great experience, they love the ballpark, they love the roof, and this team keeps on somehow winning the division, even though they're ranked like 23rd in payroll. And so there's this frustration. Why can't this owner and his partners put up the money and, get a couple of more decent pitchers or some big slugger? And, you're playing the Dodgers. And last year in August, you beat the Dodgers 3-0. And after the third game, I'm in Dave Roberts, the manager's office, and just kind of wrapping up my equipment. And an old friend came to see me and says, "Are you going back now to L.A. with the team, or are you going on to San Francisco because they're going to play the Giants?" I says, "No, actually, I got a tee time tomorrow at Kohler. A buddy of mine's taking me out to Kohler. I've never golfed there before." Dave Roberts, he just went 0-3 in Milwaukee, and he's more worried about his tee time. He's not even going to fly out with his players to San Francisco. And I'm thinking, these guys they won the year before, they've flown it in. And then what ends up happening? They cream the Brewers in the playoffs, and they beat the Blue Jays in the World Series. So it's and that's what happens when you've got that huge payroll and you've got those kinds of veterans. So even though last year you win 97 games, is this going to be like Lucy and Charlie Brown and going to pull the football away at the last second, again and dupe these fans? But at the end of the day, I think another insight I had into what Mark Antanasio is as an owner for this team is that, there was just that tribute to Bob Harlan and his 20 years of running the Packers. There was a time where I was following Bob Harlan up this escalator at the Bengals Stadium in Cincinnati. And this thing was up on his second and third floor. And if you went left or right, you're going over, you're going down. And Bob turns back to one of his assistants and says, "Can you imagine having one of these at Lambeau Field with our fans?" Referring to them being drunk, But that was Bob. He was always thinking about the fan experience. What's it like when you park the car and you walk through the lot and you give him your ticket, and how long is the line for the food? How long is the line for the restroom? What's the fan experience like? And I asked Antanasio about that. He told me, he said, "Yeah, I was walking around the ballpark yesterday, and I love the new things we've got with the scoreboard and the audio. And, Rick he's got people that take care of that for him. He's not really that kind of touchy-feely. He watches the money. But he's also got, the disadvantage of being in the Milwaukee market or Wisconsin as opposed to New York, Chicago, LA. And so he tries to keep them floating. Now, they lost $20 million with this TV deal that fell through because the FanDuel network they were owned by, those guys are going through bankruptcy. So at the last minute, they're scurrying to find a new TV deal that they hope with the next 2 or 3 seasons can settle down, and it'll be like a permanent Brewers channel so that everybody knows. But they were putting out the channels last night. So he's a pretty savvy business guy that way, who, by the way, is also now on the labor committee because, they got this CBA that's going to expire in December after the season, and they worry about a lockout. But that's the positives of Mark. But you'd like to hear him just be, one of the blue-collar fans every once in a while,
Right.
Yeah.
Mike, my Cubs, I just saw a highlight on one of my sports pages I go to when it said Cubs opening day. Yikes. So I don't feel great about their opening day, but the Brewers got to feel good. Hitting and pitching, banging on all cylinders today. It's kind of a high bar out of the gate. This might be their most complete win all year, even if they win the division. How is the division shaping out? I would think the Brewers would probably be the favorites.
Well, right now, I think Pat Murphy is focusing on settling in and finding what his new starting rotation is going to be since they traded Freddie Peralta, in the offseason. And within the last 48 hours, he went with the Miz, Jacob Mizorowski.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here was an interesting situation. Pat McAfee, who's now on ESPN, the sports talk guy in the middle of the day, about a day and a half ago, he put out a challenge on his show. He says, hey, the Miz, he's going to get the start. How about that? Hey, how about this? How about this? That's the guy who can throw like 103. How about this? We'll challenge Jacob Mizorowski up in Milwaukee in that opener against the White Sox. If he can throw a ball 104 miles an hour, the Pat McAfee show will donate $100,000 to his favorite charity. And, I was talking to some of the guys, they said that, has anyone considered okay, now you're planting that into this 23-year-old kid's head who's, at his first opening day ever. He'd never even been to the ballpark for an opening day, and now he's starting. And, what if he injures his arm trying to hit 104? Well,
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, he gives up to the leadoff batter a home run. And you're like, oh, my God, here we go, right? He settles in. He strikes out 11 batters.
Yep.
And in the fourth or fifth, some guys got on, but William Contreras, Pat Murphy gave him the credit on, let's place the ball here, let's place it there to get that pitcher in the right rhythm and got him through those innings to just leave that one run up there on the board in this 14-2 win for the Brewers. And so, listen, maybe he can go with the Miz at the top of the rotation as the starter. But he got him through that experience today, and I just thought that was all some pretty good stuff the last 48 hours.
If you're just joining us right now, we're speaking to Civic Media sports reporter Mike Clemens talking about the Brewers opening day, as well as, a wonderful story about Bob Harlan. I have to say, if I was listening to Bob Harlan, I'm like, you've also never seen Brewers fans either, because it's just as dangerous for them as it would be for Packer fans. But you said something about Mark Antanase that was interesting, because last year for his opening day interview, he said something to the effect of, well, I'm just the owner. I don't control a lot of things. It's like, yes, you're the owner, so you are in control of things. And something that the Brewers fans have been, concerned with for many years is this diminishing payroll. I mean, you've got a great team. They managed to make it to the playoffs. Their level of success varies between seasons, but it seems like they have more than enough reasons to say, hey, let's throw an extra, $10 million in. I know it doesn't sound, it's a lot of money to us, but for baseball, it's not a lot. But they continue to not do that and further fall down the payroll scale, which I feel like eventually will bite them. And Mark Antanasio doesn't seem concerned.
All right. And good recall on your part. And so today he took a direct question like, okay, there's been some people that say, a CBA and a salary cap and shared revenue like they do at the NFL, in some ways, maybe that could hurt the small market or some of your freedoms to do certain things, right? And he said, you know what, that's true. And he kind of went into some details, but said he claimed, listen, we're competitive, and whatever the format is, we'll be a good baseball team. Oh, okay, Mark. But I'll tell you what. At the end of the day, when the Mets and the Dodgers are spending $300 million on one player, I think the Brewers, and they kind of keep this close to their vest, they spend their money on scouts. Okay, they find these next stars. They've got dudes all over the Western Hemisphere, the Eastern Hemisphere. They're the ones that are pulling out these guys from Venezuela. I mean, half the damn Venezuela team, which won the World Baseball Classic, are Brewers. So, and when you walk into that Brewers clubhouse, there's guys from the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and all, and they're scouting the world for the very best hitters, the very best defensive baseball players, and pitchers as well. And that's been their secret formula: is spend it in the scouting, because the scouts are a lot cheaper than one or two, star baseball players, and they keep on winning the division and being competitive that way. So I think that's the way they're going to continue to operate this. And Atanasio said today's, his 22nd year's owner, and he's already setting up a succession to his sons taking over someday to keep it in the family as the owners of the Brewers.
Yeah.
Mike, to switch gears and sports here, let's talk Packers a little bit before we let you go. I know, are people some Packer fan friends of mine are panicking a little bit about the defense. They lost Rashawn Gary and Quay Walker. What is the mood like up in Green Bay regarding that? I mean, they've got a new defensive coordinator, but how do you think things are going to go?
They lost the entire defensive coaching staff too. No, except for the defensive line coach who they promoted to a run defense coordinator. Jeff Hafley took most of the defensive coaches with him, and then they traded Rashawn Gary to the Dallas Cowboys to get back a draft pick. Yeah, there's going to be some new faces there, but Brian Gutekunst is projecting that Lucas Van Ness is going to be able to step up. J.J. Enagbari, a pass rusher, ended up signing a deal with the Jets. I thought he had some good performances. But the Rashawn Gary mystery as to why he has 7 or 8 sacks, and then you get to late October, early November, you play the Broncos, and Micah Parsons goes down with a torn ACL, that Rashawn Gary didn't have another sack the rest of the season. And I think when you start looking at the film, you realize it's because teams were worried about Micah Parsons, and that opened the door for Rashawn Gary to get in that backfield. And the minute that they didn't have to worry about number one Parsons on the field, they could double team Rashawn Gary, and they shut him down for the rest of the year. And that's, sort of what made the difference there. So otherwise, they've made some very good moves. They got this Javon Hargrove from the Vikings. They're excited about that, the veteran. But for the last 2 or 3 years, when I've talked to the Packers offensive linemen in a week where they're going to play Minnesota, that's the first guy that they talked about. That guy's a beast. We're going to have to double team that dude. And now he's on the Packers defensive line to help out Devontae White with that defensive line rush. And that certainly helps speed up the clock on a quarterback and helps out your safeties and your corners as well. So, they did a pretty good job in free agency in getting similar level players. And at the same time, they still have the draft coming up. And then the other thing to remind fans is, when did this team, the Packers, make the biggest move of the franchise since they drafted Jordan Love? It was the first week of the season when they got Micah Parsons. So stranger things can happen, as the season wears on before the trade deadline. And I'll tell you, a year ago at this time, there's no way anybody thought that Micah Parsons was leading the Cowboys. But as that drama unfolded and divorced and ended up splitting by the time they got to training camp, and Jerry Jones, his ego is bigger than the players, and said, I'm not going to do a deal with a guy who won't negotiate with me directly. I'm not going with agents. That's how Micah Parsons ended up being a Green Bay Packer, and that didn't happen until September. So there's plenty of other moves that could be made along the way.
Mike, you're the best. Thank you so much. Enjoy being out at the old ballpark again. Thank you as always, pal. Great work, and hopefully we can talk again soon.
We will, boys. Have a good night. Thank you for letting me be
You too, bud. Thanks so much.
That's Civic Media Sports Authority, Mike Clemens. When we come back, Greg and I will still be here, as will Dom, and we're going to break it down, and we're going to do the nightcap. That's coming up next. It's Nightlight with Pete Schwaba and Greg Bach on the Civic Media Network.
You're listening to Civic Media. Find the latest news, information, and archives of all your favorite shows on the Civic Media website, civicmedia.us.
Welcome back to Nightlight with Pete Schwaba and Greg Bach here on the Civic Media Network. My name is Greg. I'm coming to you live from Radio Park and Racine all the way up in northeast Wisconsin. In Marinette is Mr. Pete Schwaba, and over in Madison is Mr. Dom Lee behind the boards doing the ones and twos. You are listening to us live, and we are happy you are with us this evening. If you want to be part of the conversation, 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Leave a comment on that live stream. We are currently streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and the platform we still call Twitter. You can still let us know who your favorite musical duo is. Text it in, call it in, leave a comment on the live stream. We'd love to hear from you. And guys, tomorrow is Casual Friday.
Yeah.
Casual Friday. We're having some fun. We're playing some games. We're going to be having a good time talking about whatever we want to talk about. It's all laid back and cool. Plus, we have a guest. Jennifer Nowicki is the owner of Cultivate Taste Tea. Will join us to talk about tea and how we can get it more into our lives. That will be tomorrow's show. So, yeah, I think, we're going to have a good show. I like Casual Fridays. I like what we're turning that into, folks. So it's going to be a good time. So please feel free to join us.
Leave your shirt with a collar at the door.
Exactly. Casual. Wear some shorts if you want, baby. Or as I saw one guy say, a clothing mullet, business up top, party in the bottom. Do your thing. So, and then don't forget, in the 7 o'clock hour, we got another keyword for the Breaking to Spring Text to Win multi-state contest. That's your final chance for today. And then it starts all over tomorrow for the last day. But make sure you have that Civic Media app for that keyword. Text it in for $200. Your chance to win and possibly a Verlo mattress set. So stay tuned, stick around, get that Civic Media app, and good luck. But guys, I think it's time to get on to what we do here now at the end of the show. We round things up. We talk about what we've learned. It's time for the nightcap.
That's fantastic. I want to say, we do have some text, but I do want to address what you just said about the mullet. Whoever coined the phrase "business in the front, party in the back" is a genius.
Yeah, really
it's just so perfect.
What did oh God, I want to look this up, but first of all, I just want to say that that's our coworker who does the voiceover for that little segment. I'm not going to say her name, but she's our coworker. She works up in Madison. She's fantastic. Always has candy when you go to the office. Cool. I want her to come to my house and just read me a book to put me to sleep. Her voice is so relaxing. You're like, have her give me bad news. I'll at least be like relaxed when it happens. So totally agree. So when I heard someone refer to a mullet as a Kentucky waterfall, I nearly soiled my pants. I laughed so hard that I was like, did you ever laugh so hard that you can't breathe? Like you're like,
yes.
But there's like, that's a Kentucky waterfall, baby. I'm like, oh my God, that's the greatest title on earth.
I've never heard that before. I love that.
We called it hockey hair growing up. I had a mullet, but I didn't have what kids have today. Like kids have like punk rock mullet or frat mullet. Like a mullet was just it looked like a regular short haircut, like Dom's hair right now. Your hair replicates what my hair looked like in middle school, but just with long hair in the back. Mm-hmm. Okay. And that was hockey hair or a mullet, and that's what it looked like. Nowadays, people are like, I got a mullet. I'm like, no, you don't. You do not have a mullet.
Do you think you think I would rock a mullet or no?
Don't do it. Please don't.
Well, all right.
You know what else came back is the perm. I remember one of my nephew got a perm, and I said to my son, I go, what's going on with that? He goes, Dad, they're everywhere. Everybody's getting them. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm the idiot.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Everything you're thinking is right. Take a picture of your nephew. Hold on to that picture.
Show it to him.
Show it to everyone. No. Don't show it to him. Show it to everyone.
I mean, I got nothing against a body wave, but a perm?
Man, I'm a guy, feel things. I'll take a balayage, but don't you come at me with curlers.
No kidding.
All right. We had some more texts come in throughout the evening for who is your favorite music duo. Someone said, it shows my age. They didn't say their name. They're listening at 414 on WAUK. It shows my age, but the Righteous Brothers. Hey, man, you got to love that blood harmony. It's a great, great thing. Ross in Crawford County listening to us on WRCE says Robert Plant and Allison Krauss had a nice duo with Raising. Said yes, they did. That's an amazing album.
That's great. And it really doesn't show your age because the Righteous Brothers, even like my kids know all the 90s music now and the 80s music. That's just the way it goes. And I love that music isn't gone. It's still with us through oldie stations or, generations past that still pass it on or whatever. Chris in Sun Prairie says Cheech and Chong for no apparent reason. Okay. All right, Chris, that works. And then in the 920, Cindy from Appleton. Hey, Cindy, she says the Judds.
Absolutely.
She got it right. It is not the Jugs.
It's not the Jugs. It's the Judds.
The Judds. Yeah, they were huge, man. They were.
Oh my gosh,
Judds, not the
they're
Jugs.
amazing.
The Judds
they're
were
amazing.
not huge.
Okay. All right. My goodness.
Dude, I can be immature with the best of them.
I know you can. I watch it happen nightly.
I'm younger than Dom on some occasions.
Pete, before we get out of here, what'd you learn tonight?
Boy, I learned a lot about online betting, which I knew nothing about going into the show. And that is part of the reason I love doing Nightlight. Cindy was great. And of course, obviously Mike Clemens too. But yeah, I learned a lot about betting. That was interesting.
Same here. I've learned that we need to come together and figure out some rules, some guardrails on that, or it's going to be another ruinous portion of our country, maybe even the world. So thank you to Cindy. Thank you to Mike for being here as well. It was a great, great show. I had fun tonight. I don't know about the two of you.
I had a wonderful time. Wonderful time.
It was a journeyman show. But no, it was great. It was a lot of fun. We had a blast, as always. And we talked about a comedy club during the special secret show, too, which could get us in trouble, although neither one of us are working comedy clubs.
I mean, they don't hire me, so I don't care.
There you go. That's the spirit.
All right, folks. Thank you to Dominic. Thank you to Tucker. Thank you to Traffic and Engineering. Without their help, nothing works. We're talking into microphones that do not work. Thank you so much to everyone who called, texted, left a comment on the live stream. To our guests, Cindy Scapani, as well as Mike Clemens. Thank you so much for being here. Tomorrow, we are going to have a great show talking about tea with Jennifer Nowicki. And yes, stick around because in that 7 o'clock hour is the final keyword of the day, the penultimate day of the break into spring. Text to win multi-state contest. So get that Civic Media app ready for that keyword. Text it in. Good luck to you. We will see you tomorrow. And Pete, my friend, please say goodnight to the folks.
Good night, Wisconsin.
The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.